Hello, you guys. Welcome to On Point. Today's episode is the most exciting of them all.
So real.
Yeah. I have my bestie, my wife, Avrey Ovard with me today.
Hello. I'm really excited. Jesus Christ. I'm like, I've never done podcasts. Clearly, that's what I was just going to say. This is my first podcast.
It's fun.
So I'm really excited.
You're going to love it because...
Oh, I know I'm going to, because we always have so much shit to say to each other.
No, it's insane.
So.
All we do is just talk. I'm probably with Avrey like most of the week.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
recently I'm just like been coming over all the time. You've been coming over. We're together. Like, I've done podcasts with people, but like I've never done a podcast with like one of my best friends. It's funny.
Close friends. Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to interview you. I'm like, I know everything, but I'm like, okay, I was
thinking about that. I was like, I'm just going to be talking about so much stuff that you already know.
It's good though. We have to, I mean, you're used to it. We're both YouTubers.
Yeah.
It's like we're talking.
Yeah.
The first time I did a podcast with my sister, I was talking to the camera and she was like, Luna, like we're talking right now. It's not like about the camera, but it's hard.
I just was a little bit nervous because I feel like so many times, like when I start recording a YouTube video, I have so much, like I almost like make a script in my head. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to say. And then the second the camera turns on, my mind is like blank.
I know.
So I'm like, God, I just hope that I can like actually like just have a normal conversation.
I know.
But like I
it's
feel
hard.
like since it's with you, we'll be
fine.
We'll be chill.
Yeah. No, I know. I have the same days. Sometimes I'm recording podcasts and I'm saying like nothing. And I'm just like, okay, I need to like stop and do this another day. But when it's with two people, we can like bounce off each other. It's fine.
We're chilling.
We're chilling. Okay, where to even start? I'm gonna interview you today, which is so fun. I want to talk about your childhood.
Okay.
Growing up, you grew up in Utah.
I did. I grew up in a really small town. Well, it's not small anymore, which is really weird. I was thinking about this yesterday for some reason. Oh, someone actually texted me and they were like, oh, like I'm driving through your hometown. Like what should I do there? And I was like, I don't even know because it's changed so much since I've been there. But I grew up in a really small town in Utah. God, it was I feel like I had a very sheltered childhood. Mm-hmm. Then I moved up by Salt Lake when I was like 14. Parents got divorced. My mom got remarried to a guy who lived up there. So she moved all of us up there with her. And I lived there for, 5 years? I lived on my own for a year and a half in Salt Lake. And then I moved out to LA.
Yay. Thank God. She saved me.
I know. You were really like one of the reasons that I did, because I feel like there were quite a few people I feel like convincing me, but you were one person that I was like, okay, I know if I move to LA, I know I will have Luna.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Look at us now.
Yeah. Thank God. I just knew it. It was like the best thing ever that you moved here.
Oh,
honestly.
I know, for
Saved
sure.
my
Like,
life.
oh my God, I cannot imagine if I stayed in Utah. I have no idea what my life would
That's
look like.
so crazy.
That was just simply not an option for me.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get into that later.
I know.
But
No,
like,
I mean, I want to get into it now. Like, okay, well, obviously, you're one of 4 siblings.
Yes. So I have an older sister, an older brother, then it's me, then I have a younger brother, and then I have 2 step siblings from my mom's husband. So yeah, I mean, technically there's 4 of us, but then also 6 including them. And I lived with them for a really long time, so I do like to include them, but they're just half sibling, not half step.
I've never met any of your family.
Ever. Never met my sister?
No.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I know. I need to come visit your hometown.
I was just going to say we should
meet the
do a little
parents.
Utah trip. Yeah, that would be so much fun.
That would be a fun video.
I've met all your family. I've been around them so much.
I know.
I've
You
driven
literally
your
like
mom's
live
car.
here.
Yeah, like I feel like I know all of them.
I know.
Pretty well.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But no, I want to come out to Utah.
No,
for
you
sure.
should. I'm like always trying to convince people because people just have no idea what Utah's actually like.
I mean, I went there once and we met up there.
Yeah.
To like
yeah,
snowboard and ski.
And we didn't do either of those things.
Because we can't. I literally can't.
I can now.
Yeah, me
better.
too, kind of.
But
not really. I'm just not
but
like
we're
athletic like
gonna
that.
do it though, because I am buying a board and I went so many times. I don't know. It's just like funny to me that I decided to start snowboarding right when I left Utah after living there my whole life.
So funny.
So I need to my parents are really, really good. So I need to keep up. Like watching my mom do it, I've been like, holy shit, bro.
She's
like,
so cool.
Yeah, she's so good. And I felt like
mom.
I didn't feel like an idiot, but I was just like, wow, like if my mother can do this, I'm like, I can do it too. But
absolutely.
God.
We're going to do it.
We will. No, for sure. When the wintertime comes back around, I'm like, I'm forcing you.
I mean, you don't have to force. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Okay. So, grew up in Utah, one of 4-ish siblings. What was your family like dynamic? A big question.
I feel like my family is something that, obviously, if you guys know anything about me, I have an older sister. The whole reason I got started into YouTube and social media in the first place was because she started it when she was like 13 or 14, I think, and we have a 6-year age gap. So I've been introduced to YouTube and social media, I feel like, way before a lot of like people our age were like really on the internet and on YouTube. So I don't, my family's something that I kind of have a hard time talking about, just because, one, my older sister is like also just really on the internet, and two, because it's just like, I don't know, like so I found an old hard drive recently that had a ton of pictures and videos and stuff from my childhood. And I feel like it's really easy to, once you're out of a situation that you were in for a really long time, to look back on it and only think of like the bad things because you have trauma from it.
Of course.
But once I found that hard drive, I was like, okay, it wasn't all bad all the time.
Right.
But it also wasn't great all the time. I mean, obviously my parents were divorced. It was a pretty, I don't even know, dramatic, I guess. Not dramatic. It was a very long process.
How old were you?
I was like, it went on for like a couple years, like the whole process of just like signing all the papers and everything. Probably from like ages 12 to 14 is like when it was all going on. Yeah, and this is like stuff that I literally never talk about, just because it's, one, just personal, but two, it's just like I'm traumatized from it a little bit.
But the thing is that this is why me and Avrey are best friends. We're so similar. My parents got divorced when I was 13.
Yeah.
We both have a 6-year age gap with our older sister.
We both started YouTube around the same time, like 12, 13.
We're both like anxiety, like need something scheduled all the time.
Yeah.
Like what happened the other day? I was laughing. Oh, it was your friends, and they were like, oh, we're staying with this person and whatever. Me and you were like, oh my God, if I don't know where I'm sleeping, if it's this, like
we're very like not. It's not that we're not go with the flow, but we just have to know all the details. We have to know all the information, because if I don't, I get so panicky, and then I'm just ruining everything for everyone, because I'm like, I can't relax.
I know, I'm the exact same way.
I know, and
that's why I love you.
That's why we work.
It's true. We're like, oh, we'll plan a dinner. We know we're showing up at that time. We're going to be on time.
Yes.
It's like,
okay,
we're not worried.
I'm going to come to you before so then we can show up together. And it's like, we're very coordinated in that way. And I feel like that's why we've built a really strong friendship, is because there's a lot of trust there.
There is a lot of trust.
Like, we can very much rely on each other. And like, I know, like literally the other day, I don't even remember why you came over. I think it was just to hang out. But I opened the door and I was just sobbing. And I just had tears running down my face, and you were like, no, you're like, it's fine. Like, we're just going to chill, and we're just going to relax, and like, everything's going to be fine. And I was like, yeah, I know. True. But like with other people, like if I was in that state, I would be like, no, you're not seeing me like this, because
I mean,
I don't like people to see me being vulnerable.
I get it. Yeah, no, same way with you.
Yeah.
I'll literally tell you whatever, whenever.
I know. I feel like we have very much crossed that line of like, we can be very honest with each other. We can be very straight up with each other. We can very much rely on each other. Anyways,
I love that. Yeah, I know. I'm like, shit, I cut you off. No, let's go back.
Okay.
Family dynamic, divorce, trauma.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go back to the lighter subject.
Yeah. We're like, oh, I love you so much, besties. Okay, divorce, trauma.
Yeah. So I was very, very close to both of my parents growing up. Obviously, as I got like a little bit older, that shifted quite a lot with my dad. My dad is a very, very sensitive subject to me. I get a lot of questions about, I feel like my sister does too, actually, about like, where's your dad? Because we're always talking about like our stepdad, my mom's husband. I don't ever call him like my dad or anything, because he's not. He's great, and I love him so much, and he's been in my life for a really long time. But like, he's not, you know, and there's always going to be that like feeling in my chest of like, I don't have a normal father-daughter relationship with my dad. Yep. God, I have literally never spoken about this ever. So I'm like, whatever.
Say whatever you want.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I honestly feel like that's still something that I'm working on a lot. There's, with a parent relationship, especially as you get older, there's so many ups and downs, because it's like you are always the kid. You're always going to be the child.
I know.
But it doesn't always feel that way. Like,
course, yeah,
when you pass that threshold of like you're getting older, you moved out, you're on your own, you're not relying on them for anything anymore. The relationship changes so drastically, and this is something that I'm constantly talking about in therapy.
No, it's true.
And yeah, I don't know, when there's like, I don't want to say, God, I'm like, I hate to be so vague. Okay, whatever, I just won't. When there's alcohol involved, also, that is something that is a very like it's not just like, oh, my parents just don't get along anymore and, you know, they're separating, whatever. And it's like you can still have like a close relationship with whatever, both your parents. It shifts everything, and it does for the rest of your life.
It does.
So that's something that is, you know, has a whole added thing of like why my relationship with my dad is complicated, but, you know, always working on it when I can. But
of course,
yeah, I spent a lot of time with my siblings growing up. We lived in a very, very Mormon neighborhood. All of our neighbors were Mormon, which is totally fine, but we just weren't. We were never like part of the church. We were never doing like all of the very neighborly activities.
So no one in your family was Mormon?
So my dad's side of the family is all Mormon.
Got it.
Okay. But my mom's side, it's kind of funny. I feel like it's like two completely different sides of the spectrum. Like my dad's side is pretty conservative and very Mormon. And my mom's side was like my grandparents are hippies and they're all about like peace and love and like going over to my mom's parents, who are also both of my mom's parents and my dad's parents are divorced and remarried. So I have 4 sets of grandparents.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So whenever I would go to any of my grandparents on my mom's side, they're always like playing like the Beatles and like all this old music and like watching all of these like black and white movies and just like, I don't know, just all of this.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love your grandma. I want to be her
God.
best friend.
My grandma is literally my best friend, and she's a stalker, that woman. She probably will be listening to this, honestly.
Well, we're shouting you out.
Yeah,
we love
her.
you.
I love her so much.
I've never even met her.
She's like, oh, she's always texting me about you and Nye. Like she's always asking like, oh, like even Kennedy too. She's like, oh, like I saw that Kennedy was drawing with these crayons and like I really want them. Like just like the most, it's so funny.
I dream of that. I dream of having like, well, I mean, now my grandparents are all mostly dead, but I never even had a relationship with them because they're in Denmark,
crazy.
You know?
Yeah, because especially with everything that my parents were going through growing up, my grandparents were always there.
So important.
Yeah, like we lived 5 minutes away from my grandma, and I spent so much time over there. Like my first job technically was like I would go over to her house and just help her deep clean the whole entire thing. And yeah, so that's a relationship that I'm very, very, very grateful to have. That I feel like a lot of like maybe like 20 or 21-year-old girls now are just people can be closer with their grandparents, but like growing up, well, I don't know, maybe, but that's just like a very close relationship.
I think it's
that
rare.
I've always had. But yeah, I spent a lot of time with my siblings growing up, which I don't know, seeing my sister and have her 2 kids and just seeing how much that is, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I cannot believe that there were 4 of us in one house. Like that is just so many.
Like you were all kind of young at the same, like you're pretty close in age, or?
Yeah. So I think the biggest age gap is me and my younger brother, actually.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Well, I mean, me and my sister, I guess technically, or like obviously my sister and my youngest brother, but like I think it's like 2 years between my oldest 2 siblings, 2 years between me and my older brother. Jeez. And then my younger brother is quite a bit younger than me. He's like 5 years younger.
That is really close, though.
But yeah, we just spent so much time all together because it's not that we didn't have friends, but like so many people were just like out in the neighborhood. And it's like we didn't relate to those kids whatsoever. Yeah. So we spent so much time with each other. Like I feel like we really were all best friends growing up. Like me and my older brother, we as my older sister got older and she was like out, you know, in high school and hanging out with her friends, whatever, like me and my older brother would play so many video games together and we were just so close. And me and my older sister, this is something that we also have in common. We're always like making all of these crazy, like absurd photo shoots and videos and music videos. And my cousin was a really big part of that too. When she was in town, she lived like 2 hours away. But yeah, we spent so much time together. And when I was looking back on those hard drives that I mentioned earlier, I was like, sobbed the whole entire time because I was like, wow. Something that I think was really interesting when I was looking through them is I have heard you say multiple times, like, oh, I miss being a kid so much. Like, I would do anything to be a kid again. And I was like, I just can't relate. Like, I would just never want to be a child again. And obviously it's because I was very stressed a lot as a child. And that's still something that I carry a lot with me now, is that I get very stressed very easily. But after looking back to that, I was like, damn, I want to be a kid again.
I know.
Like, just not having to, like, it's like you do have things to worry about, but like,
but not really.
It's not the same,
you know? There's just like some level of, I don't know, you're just not really, you don't have to take care of yourself, really. You know?
No.
It's just like no responsibility, kind of. I don't know.
And you're just so naive, and there's so many things that you, like, encounter later life. That's not even like, oh, bills and like money. Like, it's not even stuff like that, but it's just like worrying about your body, like you don't worry about until you're like a little bit older, and just like really random stuff like that.
No,
it's like you're so pure.
I know.
And I was just watching myself, and I was just like, I didn't care. Like, I was like dancing so free and like being so crazy and like trying to be so funny and like had all this crazy like hair and makeup and costumes, whatever. And I was just like, damn.
I know.
That was like, I don't know. I just feel really grateful that I had that as a child. And yeah, that's kind of like, I feel like what my household was like. Like, we were always filming.
Right.
We were always filming. My older brother had do you remember the flip cameras?
Of course.
Yeah.
Those were the best.
Those truly were the best. He had one of those, and just, we recorded everything on one of those and just made the most like insane random stuff ever. But yeah, I feel that's what I spent the majority of my childhood doing. Yeah. Is just being creative with my siblings.
Yeah. How old were you when Aspen kind of like took off on the internet and became big?
I think I was like, she was probably like 17, 18. So I think I was like 11, 12.
Okay.
And it was like the craziest thing ever. It's still really weird because obviously I live out in LA now, and I see a lot of her friends that she was really close to. And obviously, you know, she's a mom now. She has kids. All of her friends are like doing all of their own thing. But I am like friends with some of them. Like these girls that I looked up to, that I like was crazy over. And I was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe that my sister is like friends with them. Like, it was everything to me. Yeah. Like, it was so bizarre. Like, I remember there were a couple times. Do you remember IMATs?
No.
Okay. It was kind of like, it was like VidCon, kind of. Not even like VidCon. It was like kind of like that, but like it was for like beauty. Specifically.
Like BeautyCon?
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's called IMATs?
Yes.
Kind of feel like I remember that.
I don't, it's definitely not around anymore, I don't think. But it was basically like a convention where it's like all of these like very early age influencers all went, and all these makeup artists and whatever. And I just remember going there, and I don't even remember how many times I went, like probably only like once or twice, but I would just go there and like see my sister do her thing. Like people were meeting her, and she was with all of her friends, and I would always be there with my mom. And I just felt so lucky that I could even go in the first place. Yeah. And it just meant so much to me. And it was weird for sure. Like, seeing people go up to my sister and be like, oh, like, I love you, I watch your videos. And I was in a lot of her early videos too. And so I don't know. It's I've had a lot of very full circle moments, like seeing my sister do that, and then being able to do the same things, or even like my own things, because obviously me and my sister, we do the same thing, but we're very different people, and we still have a lot of very different interests, like in the influencer space. But yeah, I feel like that was definitely a very abnormal part of my childhood for sure. Like, I remember one time, I had a lot of people talk to me about it at school before I started my own channel. Like, when I was in middle school, like, I would have girls come up to me and be like, oh, like, is Aspen your sister? And I'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, oh, like, we love her so much. And I'd just be like, okay, like, that's really... Did
you feel a sense of, like, competitiveness with her ever when it came to that? Or were you guys, like,
not really?
Or
not really. And I think it's because I just have always known that we are such different people. Yeah. And I think there are things... I feel like when it comes to, like, I guess just morals, and... I don't know. I feel like there's things where, like, we'll be, like, talking about someone, and we'll just be like, oh, like that's so weird. Like that's so weird of them, whatever. It's like stuff like that we always see eye to eye. But I just feel like in our everyday lives and just the way that our brains work, we are very different people. And so I'm like, it was a very like apples to oranges thing for me. And I feel like it was for my mom too. And even for Aspen, my sister. I don't know. It's just like one of those things where it's like, oh, like you're sisters and you're so similar, but you're so different at the same time. And it's like, yeah, that's just like how we have always kind of been.
Right.
But yeah, I've never really felt the need to compare myself to her because I'm just like, why would I do that? Like, I feel like it would make sense because it's like, yeah, she's my older sister, whatever. But I don't know. I've never viewed her in that way. And I've just never really seen her as competition. And I don't think she's ever seen me as competition. I feel like maybe if I was a little bit older and our age gap was smaller, then there would have been more room for that.
Yeah.
But that was just never, I don't know. Yeah, that was just never really a thing.
Yeah, it's weird. We have like so many similarities in that way. It's like my sister also is so different from me. She's so straight edge and like she
very type A.
So type A, worker bee. Like if there's a discussion in the family of what we're having for Christmas dinner, it's her way or the highway, and we're following her.
That was our saying, like growing up, it's Aspen's way or the highway, because she was crazy. So like, which obviously has its pros, but also has its cons. But it was very like. It was a good example for sure of like having someone that worked really hard and that was really dedicated to their craft and was very inspired and very just did what she needed to do, got done what she needed to get done. Yeah. And that is for sure a trait that I wish I was more like her in that way. And like I have my own ways of like, getting all my shit done that I need to get done. But that's something that I've always really admired about her.
I feel the same way about my sister. I'm like, she never lets anything like truly get her completely down. Like she always wants to keep going in life, and she's so motivated. She'll stick to something for a long time. Whereas if I fail for like one time, I'm like, oh, I don't want to keep going.
Yeah,
like,
and it's always goes. It's like if you can find a will, you'll find a way.
Yeah,
like I don't know. I don't know if that's just like the older sister vibe.
I was thinking that but I have friends that have older sisters that it's not like that, and they're like, it's very rare, like, for you to say that you didn't have competition, or for me to say that I didn't have competition with my sister, because I feel like I've talked to so many people that are like, yeah, like me and my sister, we fight about this, or like we're constantly competing for the same thing. It's like,
yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it's because it's a 6-year age gap that like for me and my sister wasn't even a question ever. Like even when we were both like in the industry or doing YouTube, which she did for a second, we're so different. She's a singer and I'm like, an influencer in that way, but it was never a question, or like we would all laugh about it, be like, oh, what sibling has the most followers today? Like we would just laugh. It'd be like funny. We're so proud of each other for like succeeding. It's never like that, which is so special too, that it's the same way with you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think although it's like we've taken very similar paths, I think we've also taken very different paths. Like she got married really young. She kind of followed more of like the Utah path. Right. Which is like such a big thing that I was like, I want to be as far away from this as possible.
What's the Utah path?
You get married really young. You stay in Utah for the most part.
Okay.
You have kids young. You stay very close to your family. You go to church every Sunday.
Is it just like Mormonism, or is it just all people that live in Utah?
I mean, most people that live in Utah are Mormon, right? So kind of one and the same. But I also think like, I mean, we weren't Mormon growing up, but I think it's just so normalized that it's like it's just the culture. Like whether the church is there or not, it's like you're still seeing like I think my sister, she had her first baby at like 23, and she said that she felt like that was like late.
Wow.
Because like I know girls, like I see girls that I went to high school with all the time that are married and that have kids. Like I just saw a girl like literally like 2 days ago that is pregnant and married, and I was like,
that's
oh my
crazy.
God. Like it's like more and more every single day. And I'm like, I'm obviously not judging. I want you to follow whatever path you feel like is right for you, but that ain't me. Yeah. Like that's so far from everything I've literally ever wanted.
Did you always know that, or was there like a time in your development or in high school where you were like, oh shit, like this is definitely not the trajectory of my life?
I feel like I've always known that. Okay. I feel like I've always wanted to be pretty much do what I'm doing, which was kind of reminded of the other day when I found all of those old hard drives and whatever, just seeing like all of these photo shoots and everything that I'd been doing. And like, that's still the number one thing that I love doing the most is all of these, like working with people, doing photo shoots, doing like creative direction type modeling stuff. Like that is what is so fulfilling to me in every single way possible. And I feel like my friends know that about me. And I feel like that's why I have so many photographer friends and like just so many friends like up all in that space.
I saw it, like I told my mom the other day, I was like, I'm so inspired by Avrey because even when I came over to your house or see the way that you like think about brand deals, it's like for me it's like it's so annoying, it's work, it's like I'm gonna do the least amount for this brand deal because I don't care enough, but like you're so meticulous about each thing. It's like, okay, well, you know, I want this vision for it and I want it to be here and it's this photographer, and it's like so inspiring to see because it's like so easy for a world like this and influencing to be so superficial. It's like, oh, I'm selling you this product, but like you make it art in a way, and of course it's like why wouldn't someone pay you to like, because it's not only just creative direction, but it's also like people trust your opinion.
Thank
like
you. I feel like combo. You do that too, though.
Not really.
But
for
I feel
you,
like
it's like
you do.
But you're like you love to do it. You're like are inspired to do it. Like you want it. You want to be given something and be like, oh, how can I make this really like cool and different and like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been really interesting being on the internet for a long time. I'm sure you can relate to this. Just seeing how content creation has changed. I feel like I'm constantly going back and forth between like, should I make this more artsy? Should I put more effort into it? Or do brands just want me to sit in front of the camera and like hold this up and be like, oh, you should go buy this?
It's interesting. I think a lot of people don't know how it works behind the scenes because it's not like we have just complete creative control over whatever we do. It's like we're given a brief. It's called a brief. And basically it says, okay, well, we want you to have these talking points and you have to hit them. And they'll be like, oh, I want it against a blank wall and you're just going to hold the perfume and we want you to spin around. And I'm like, well, I know my audience would do way better if I do this, and I'll make that content either way. And they're like, no, we want something like this. And it's like, oh, I know it's not going to do that well. Yeah. Like, it's annoying because it's weird that sometimes brands really want specific things.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing because it's like, if you wanted just that, why don't you just hire someone to make that?
I know.
Like, just like a random person. Like, I feel like the whole point of working with influencers is having things be as personable as possible because that's the whole reason that people follow these influencers in the first place is because you like them as a person, you like what they have to show. So I don't know, anyways, that's like it's a whole nother
we're gonna have so many podcast episodes. I feel like Avrey should just be the co-host at this point.
Real,
like actually
hand me a contract. I'll
you know what? Let's make it up. I'll write it up right now. I feel like everyone would love it.
Let's just like spit shake on it.
Yeah, perfect. I don't know if I ever want to do that, but like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I always knew the Utah path was not for me because I always knew that I loved creating. And not saying that you can't create like when you follow the Utah path, but really it is mostly about getting married and having kids young.
Right.
And that's what I see so many girls doing. And once again, I'm not judging because that is not my place whatsoever. But I feel like because I've seen it so much, even within my own life too, like my mom got married when she was 19.
Wow.
She had my sister a week before she turned 21. I just turned 21 like 2 weeks ago.
No way.
So if I was my mom's, like if I followed the same path as my mom, I would have a 3-week baby right now.
That's 3-week-year-old
baby. Like, could you imagine?
No.
If I was married, if I'd been married for 2 years and I had a child right now.
No.
Like, I'd rather die.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, Mom. Like, I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did.
Right.
But that is just so like, oh my God, the anxiety and the stress that I would have with that is unreal.
Because like in your situation, it's technically, you know, you can talk about like nature versus nurture kind of. Like, you know, there's some women that I feel like are born with, okay, they know that's the path that they want for themselves. They don't really care to like live out their 20s. That's not like they know what they want and they do it early. And like that was, your mom wanted that, you know?
That's how my sister was too. Right. Like she knew, like even like my sister got married young too. My grandma got married young, all before the age of 20.
Right.
I think my grandma was like 18. My sister was also 19. And like that's just what my sister always wanted. Like she just always wanted to have kids young. She always wanted to be a mom. And that's great. And you know, I feel like that's also where me and my sister really differ, is that I was like, I have seen I've seen all of this happen before between my mom, my grandma, and my sister. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I want to turn around and go the opposite direction as far as I possibly can. Because I don't know, I just know like if that ever does happen, which I also don't want to get married, like literally ever. And if I do get married,
discussion.
Yeah, no, it really is. Are you the same way?
No, I want to get married, but I know it's not going to last. And that's my problem with divorce, having divorced parents is like everything has an end to me. The idea of me getting married and like we're going to stay together till we like die and rot. Are you kidding me? It's just literally never going to happen.
Yeah. I feel like every single relationship that I have like ever looked to ends somewhat badly or like dramatically or like it just doesn't last. And so I'm just like, I don't know. I don't want to put it out into the universe.
I know,
that
me neither.
That I'm never going to have a happy marriage, that I'm never going to have like a long-term relationship. It's not that, but it just seems so unrealistic.
I know.
And not even just like, I don't know. I shouldn't say just for me because that's me projecting for sure. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm like just the thought of like being with one person. I don't know. It's not even that because I'm like, that would be awesome. Like I would love to have like your person. Yeah, my person, my companion, especially these days. Like I've been so like lonely.
I know. I want someone for you.
I do really good with being alone. And that's one thing that I love about myself is that I have always done really well being alone.
Earth sign. Taurus.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. I'm like independence. Yes. Like I'm almost too independent. Like the hyper independence like sometimes gets the best of me where I'm like, it's okay to like ask for help, whatever, whole other conversation. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like, especially I had my, you know, all about this already. I had my first situationship.
Oh yeah, this is our next segue into relationships and situationships and all that.
So I had a long-term boyfriend from the ages 16 to 19, 3 years. And it was actually funny when we broke up. My mom was like, well, at least you didn't marry him. And I was like, haha. And then I was like, oh wait, no, people actually do get married at that age.
Yeah, like wasn't even a question in your head.
Like that was so like, that was like a weird, like just like a funny comment that she made that made me spiral a little bit because it's like, oh wait, no, that is like, we literally could have
That was on it was a trajectory of your relationship.
For sure.
That's crazy. You were here the day that you did it. You were here. We went to an ice rink. Can I talk about this?
Yeah.
We went to an ice skating rink, me, Avrey, and my brother. And in the middle of ice skating, Avrey just like sits on the side and is crying. And I'm just like, oh no. And we weren't that close at the time, really. You just not really. We met like twice or three times.
That was in what? So we broke up in November. That was probably like September? Or was that November?
No, you flew home that day and did it.
Yeah.
And you were just like, I know what I need to do for my life and what I need to do.
I was just thinking because, so I think we met that September.
We did.
And so we were only friends for like 2 months at that point. And it was like right after I started coming back to LA after COVID.
Right.
And so obviously COVID, no one was going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so I was very, very comfortable in just like my little life in Salt Lake. Like, you know, I had my boyfriend, I had my friends, and that was like my whole life.
Yeah.
And then I started coming out here and I met you the first time I came back out here. I started hanging out with our other friend, Allie, and just kind of meeting a lot of other people that you were introducing me to. And I was like, oh shit, there's a lot more to life than my little bubble. And I think that's like an issue with, not an issue, but something that specifically, I mean, I think in every state, but especially in Utah, because I think the religious aspect really does have a big part to keeping you in the bubble. But you just don't really think outside of the Utah life, the Utah way. And, you know, like I said, I knew that I always wanted more for myself, but then with COVID and everything, because before COVID, I was coming out to LA frequently and I had friends here and I was meeting people and doing things, whatever. But then obviously COVID shut everything down. And then I am really glad that it did, because when I was 17, I wanted nothing more than to move to LA.
Really?
Yes. Like I was talking to my mom about it. I was like, oh, like I can get emancipated, like all this bullshit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Not like in a way that was like
dramatic.
I want to be separate from my mom by any means, but just as like the independent, you know, the hyper independence was like really there.
Thriving.
So glad that didn't happen. That's like such a big, like, if it's meant to be, it will happen like when the timing is right.
For sure.
But yeah, so I was out here and I was questioning a lot of things. And I was like, I I don't want this life anymore. No. I was so, it was almost like I was uncomfortable in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm so like, I'm just tired of this little bubble that I've been living in for my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And I just wanted out. So yeah, we went ice skating and I had a little breakdown and had to sit on the side. And I just remember your brother being like, it's okay. Like, it's going to be fine. And I was like, Max, you just don't understand. Like, you just don't get it.
It's so funny.
And then, yeah, I flew home and I broke up with him.
Yeah. That night.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, that might have been, I don't know if it was that night or maybe like the next day after or something. I don't know.
You just knew
what it was. It was after that trip. It was literally the day I got home from that trip.
Right.
I remember because the thing that set me off was that he didn't pick me up from the airport.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is my final straw.
Yeah. I'm like, he's listening. Nope, you're blocked.
He could.
Sorry.
That is true. Yeah.
Whatever.
That is true.
So, okay, that relationship happened.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like learn about yourself the most in that relationship, or what like? Is there something you learned that you'd never want again, or what's something important you learned? Because I know.
God, a big takeaway from that relationship.
Tell the people. Also, was there anything like specifically that happened to end it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything.
Yeah. I haven't told you every single little detail, every
literally
single
I
little
know
text,
nothing.
every single little voice memo. Yeah, I also did get cheated on, which honestly, I don't care. Like, I so don't care. But it's funny, like, if my, like, late 2021 self, because that's when this happened, self heard me saying that now, I would literally, like, shoot myself. I would be like, how do you not care? How are you not bothered? Because it was world shattering for me getting cheated on. It was something that I mean, you never expect to get cheated on, like when you're in a healthy relationship, because our relationship was very healthy.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would ever have thought that.
Yeah. Like we didn't really fight. I'm not a fighter. I'm very much like if I'm angry, upset, whatever, I'm like a not silent treatment, but I need my time and my space to think about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of where I started realizing, like, okay, I'm like feeling the certain way. I'm upset about whatever it even is. Not that we even had that much conflict, but like clearly I just wasn't very happy anymore. Mm-hmm. Which is such a weird thing, like in relationships, because it's like it doesn't always have to be super bad to end.
No, and I think most of the time it isn't. It's most of the time it's just like, you know, you need to grow apart. It's not
honestly,
about love.
Yeah, it makes me really sad because I still think that we could have had some sort of like just friendship or whatever it was. You know, it didn't have to be anything where we were like talking or anything all the time. Right. But then, some unloyalty was discovered.
After you broke up though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I had my suspicions.
Right. You told me that
and
before.
I still have all the proof.
Receipts are ready. Okay.
Yes. Not even just that, but also just like my suspicions too. Like I remember so vividly texting, some of my friends and just being like, oh, like I really feel like something's going on with this girl and whatever. And then it turns out it's true. I was blocked by not only him but also the girl. And so I was like, there's so much going on right now. And I honestly, it's so world shattering, and it's just funny now. Like I'm just so glad I can look back and laugh. I'm like, well, I learned so much. And I think the reason that I don't really care about it that much anymore is because from the minute that it happened and the minute that I found out, I knew it was never anything personal. Right. I knew it was not about me at all.
Of course
it was
not.
So not about me.
It never is.
No.
It never is.
It never is. And I wish that's really something that like people that got cheated on would know.
Yeah. I mean, it's the hardest thing. It's like your instinct to think that it's immediately something wrong with you or something that you do, but at the end of the day, it has literally nothing to do.
Literally nothing to do with you. It's either they're unhappy with themselves, they need some sort of ego boost, whatever it is.
Yeah, they're just insecure.
Yeah, exactly.
Insecure men.
And I knew that's what it was. I knew it was all stemming from insecurity because I don't want to say that I was a bad girlfriend in the end of our relationship, but my communication skills were very much lacking because I just didn't. It's not that I didn't care, but I just didn't want to be in the situation anymore. Right. So like when things would happen, I'd be like, I don't even care to like talk about it and solve. And this kind of went on for like, I mean, it was a long relationship. It was 3 years.
That's crazy.
And the thought of like, I mean, from ages 16 to 19, you grow so much and you change so much. And like to be with someone for that long and to still like, you know, obviously we would have times where we would like feel like, you know, you're growing apart a little bit, and then we would always come back together until eventually we didn't.
Right.
And that was definitely, it's kind of funny because I personally think if I never ended the relationship, we would still be together.
Whoa.
For sure.
Interesting.
100%. Because that was just not like, that wasn't his personality to really do, like, I don't know. I have a hunch.
Well, they're correct most of the time. So
For real.
No, they are.
But yeah, that was like, I don't know. I feel like my biggest takeaway is that it's really important to be single and to have time to yourself.
It's true.
And not in a way that I would change anything, because I was thinking, like, literally when I was driving over here for the past like 2 days, I've been thinking about like, what are me and Luna going to talk about? And just like, you know, just coming up with all of the topics. And obviously this was a big one, but I think I would not ever change. I wouldn't change anything. Being in love as a teenager was something that I wouldn't change for the world.
Yeah,
I think it was something that was so special, and also just struggling with anxiety and depression and everything that life throws at you during those ages. Having that, he very much filled a void for me that I would not have been able to fill for myself.
Right.
Which is that healthy? Probably not, to have someone like, you know, fill a void
life.
for you. But I've gotten to a point now where that void isn't empty, but it doesn't exist.
Right.
Like, it's gone.
It's like there's no void, but if you want to come in and add more to my life, then you can add more.
Exactly.
But you're not filling anything.
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is honestly my biggest takeaway, that it was like,
I see that in you.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, like, I'm not someone that is like going on a ton of dates, seeking people out, which,
oh no,
not that there's anything wrong with that. I wish that I would do more of that, honestly. And like that's part of my comfort zone now, that I'm like, I am so like far in the opposite direction that I'm like, I'm too comfortable being single and like not giving people chances or whatever. And, you know, there's so much balance there. It's like, don't waste your time, and, you know, just be independent, whatever, but still have fun and go out and be young.
It's a lot of pressure.
Make out with people and, you know, experiment and whatever, and this and that, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was something that I'm really, really grateful for, that, because there were so many things that I don't think that I would have done if I didn't have someone to do them with.
Yeah.
We did travel a lot together. We did have a lot of like first experiences together, and yeah, I wouldn't change any of it for the world. Like, even the ending, as much as it sucked and I was in so much pain, and I dropped 10 pounds in 2 days because I couldn't eat because I was so sick, and I was seriously so mentally insane.
Yep.
It's like, it's not even funny. Like,
I know, I get it.
I look back at my TikTok drafts from that time every once in a while when I have a new phone like since then, so they're not there, but like I use my other old phone sometimes, like when I'm filming and stuff. It just is convenient. But I was looking at my TikTok drafts from that time the other day, and I was like, these are so dark.
I know.
Like, the energy from this time was so unreal. It was the loneliest I ever felt in my whole entire life. It's like funny now just for me to think about, like, I can't believe I let a man make me feel like that.
It's gonna happen again, unfortunately.
And I know, and that's the thing. Yeah.
Honestly, I can be the most secure, I've said this before, I can be in the most secure place in my life, and everything's so great, and I love myself, and the minute a man walks in, or anyone that like emotionally takes something out of me at all, I'm just like, fuck. It's like I'm like,
it's hard.
My self-worth down the drain.
It's really, really hard.
It's so hard.
It's just one of
love
those,
is like, it's exhausting. It makes me want to throw up.
It really does.
It's terrible.
Like, even like back to my first, which I have not spoke about at all, which, like, not that anyone really cares, but
everyone cares about this situationship because I cared, and it was the happiest I ever saw Avrey, so I want him to come back. Anyway, let's keep going.
Oh my God.
So now your first situationship experience. Let's go.
Yeah. That threw me for a loop.
Avrey wakes up at what, like 7 or 6 or whatever time.
Anywhere from like 6:30 to 7:30.
And she's like, even when I'm at dinner with her late, let's say it's like 10:30, she's like, oh my God, I need to go home because I have a routine and my schedule tomorrow. And if I don't wake up at this time, like, and make my oatmeal and do this, like, she's very scheduled. And during this time, she was staying up till 4 a.m. She was like doing, she was texting me whatever. She
I
just
was going out to bars. Like, it was insane.
Yeah.
Which, going out to a bar, wow. Like,
but for Avrey,
but for me,
it's crazy.
That it really was. It was a first. I mean, like, obviously, I had a relationship. Okay, I knew what it was like to be a girlfriend. I didn't know what it was like to so when me and that ex first started dating, we had hung out maybe like once, and then we were like, okay, we're dating.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
there's no build like when you're 16.
No,
like
there
it's not
isn't.
like,
It's just
you know, let's go on
now
all
or
these
never.
dates and let's go here, because it's like you still live at home. You like are still in high school, you know, it's so different.
Yeah.
And as fun and like that and as crazy as that was to me, like 16-year-old me, now like it's obviously such a different world not being in Utah, because it's not like, I feel like when you are from Utah, everybody, like his family was super Mormon. It was like, it was nothing new to me.
Yeah.
But this guy was very, very different and came from a completely different like upbringing that I ever came from. And so there was a lot more to talk about. Obviously, when there's a lot of similarities, there's still a lot to talk about, because it's like, oh, you know, we have this in common, whatever.
Yeah.
But when it's completely different, it's not like, oh, we have a lot to talk about, but oh, there's so much to learn. And I feel like that's one reason that just overall, I'm really grateful that I moved to LA, because there's literally no diversity in Utah. Like most people come from the same background and have very similar upbringings. But yeah, that was not the case here at all. And I don't know. I'm like, where do I even begin?
Where'd you meet him?
A dating app.
Spicy.
Yeah, which is so fun. I remember I literally got the dating app because of you.
Oh,
so
God.
thanks. I remember it was, I think probably the first time I came back here after my breakup. You were like, you need to get this dating app. Everybody's on this dating app. And I was like, okay. And I've gone back and forth so many times between being like, this is so stupid. I'm deleting this. I'm canceling my $20 membership.
Yeah, $20 membership.
Yeah.
A month, right? A month?
That's how much this stupid ass dating app costs.
It's basically a dating app for like you have to be like accepted
you have to have
into it.
some sort of like status.
You have to like attach your
one way or
Instagram to
another.
it, or else you
Yes,
can't.
you have to get approved.
You have to have a recommendation.
Yes.
You see like Pete Davidson on here. You see like all these celebrities on this dating app.
Yeah. Like it's really
funny.
like there's athletes, like there's
Oh,
all sorts
everything.
of people.
John Mayer.
Yes,
I'm going back on.
I have seen him multiple times.
Oh, Avery,
and I
you gotta
think of you
hug it.
every single
You
time. No,
exit.
I skip it. Yeah, because I'm like, I just can't.
Avery.
Next time.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will. Just for you. I'll put in a
fine.
good word.
Fine. No, he's a weirdo. Don't do it. Anyway.
So yes, I don't know. It's kind of like a complicated story. Basically, I'm like, there's no way he's gonna listen to this, but if he does, I'm like so scared. Please turn this off. Yeah, so I saw him and I was like, he's for me. This is my type.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there's like maybe literally like one or two, like not even guys that I've been interested in. I haven't talked to anybody since this whole thing happened, but like guys or people that I think are cute that I'll like send to my friends and be like, oh, like, what do you think? And they're like, bitch, you have such a type. It's like almost disgusting.
They're like identical. They're all, they all could be brothers.
And it's bad. And it's not even like, I'm open, you know, like if I don't want to, like, it's not that I'm closing myself off or whatever.
Yeah.
It just happens that like, it's kind of funny that this is like embarrassing. It's not funny. It's literally embarrassing. But I feel like this guy that I really liked, I always said that he could be like the hotter older brother version of my ex.
No, and it's true. It's literally
and it's really true.
It's
like
the first thing I said when I saw him.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Even like, not personality wise, but even just interest wise too, like things that not just they had in common, but like things that we also had in common, like the video games that we liked and the music that we liked and just stuff like that was really like, I guess, just comforting to me. That was like, oh, I'm like used to this, I guess.
Yeah.
But there was also so much that was new that made it so fun and so exciting. And I don't know, I was just in such a place. So this was what, December? Okay, so we matched on this dating app, whatever. And then it wasn't until months until we actually reconnected. I literally just randomly followed him on Instagram. Like I was just going through my matches and I was bored. I followed him on Instagram and he followed me back. We started talking. We started hanging out and we hung out for 2 months and then he broke up with me.
Ew.
Which was totally fine.
But it was weird because he had just gotten out of a relationship.
Yeah, it was like this whole thing. I low-key was a rebound, which which I knew. I was very self-aware.
Yeah.
But I was like, whatever. I pretended I didn't care.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it was a gift to you at that time. I just feel like it kind of like spun you out of your routine and you had fun, and you said you were so happy during that time, you know?
And my life since then has changed so much in so many different ways that I like, you know, can't even begin to discuss. But like just life in whole in general is just so different. But yeah, it was really interesting. And just even like talking to my mom about this new guy, whatever, like it wasn't even like, I mean, it was literally 2 months. Like, it wasn't even to a point where it's like, yeah, like, I'm going to introduce you to my family, whatever. Like, even anything
it wasn't
like
even like that.
Yeah. Like, we would talk, and the thing is, it was the only reason that it didn't really work out, I personally think, is because of timing. It was just a wrong timing thing. Come back. Well,
just kidding.
I personally believe if it was the right person, it wouldn't be the wrong time.
Oh, you don't believe in right person, wrong time?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. I don't know. Unless maybe prove me otherwise. Yeah. I don't know.
Come back. We want you back.
We'll see. Do we though?
I don't know. I don't know. I would have said no like a month ago.
Because he almost did a little bit.
No, he tried multiple times. And I was like, don't do it. Don't go to coffee with him. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't anything serious. We did have a lot of fun. And yeah, there were times where we would literally just stay up until 4 a.m. and just talk.
Yeah.
And literally just talk and listen to music and play Super Smash Bros. And play Mario Kart. And it was so much fun. Like, I was just having fun. And that was just something that, I mean, at that time I had lived in LA for like a little over 6 months. And at that time in December, I was chilling. I was having a good time before he ever came into the picture. But like, I feel like the couple months prior to that, I mean, moving to a new place is hard. It's really, really, really fucking hard. And just getting adjusted and feeling like you have a support system. And it's like, you can still have friends, but still feel really lonely, you know?
Sure, of course.
And I feel like I was just coming out of that. Like, I was just kind of getting on the other side of like, okay, like I'm feeling a little bit more settled. I'm like, I actually know where I'm going, when I'm driving for the most part, and I don't feel super anxious like leaving my house, because LA is a very like crazy city. Like, it's a very strange place. It literally feels like another world, especially when you're in like the whole like influencer entertainment aspect of it. Crazy. Like, there's so many things that are just not normal whatsoever. And I was really, really stressed out, and I was really overwhelmed, but I was finally coming out on the other end. And then I feel like this guy literally just like fell into my lap. Like, I was not looking for anything at all. I mean, I never am. I never really seek out love and relationships like that, because that's just not me and that's not my personality.
Right.
But yeah, it was fun. We just had a lot of fun together, and I hung out with his friends. Like, I literally went to his friend's house. He had like a group of friends and they all lived together. And I remember he took me over there and he was like, yeah, like, you know, this is Avrey, whatever. And they were all playing Smash Bros. And I was like, okay, like, hand me a controller. I did. I beat all of them.
Yeah, because you're that bitch.
Which, this sounds so pick me. It's
no.
It's just not even.
It's literally a character trait. It's just like a skill that Avrey has, that she's a Nintendo god. Like, I don't know what it is. And I've watched her play my brother, like everyone, and the way she does, I'm just like shocked.
It's fun.
It's a skill.
It's just like a big thing for me that I'm like, if you like can play this, I automatically feel more comfortable around you. I don't know.
100%.
And that it stems back to childhood. I'm like, this is like what I spent so much time of my childhood doing. I'm like, this is like not like healing my inner child by any means, but I'm just like, you know, this is just, it's a comfortable thing for
100%.
me. So yeah, I like played all of his friends and I beat them, and I was just like, wow, this is like, I feel like a god right now.
No, because you're that bitch and you're the best. 100%.
Yeah. Anyways, I was just having so much fun. And then, yeah, we just like went out and he was like, I'm breaking up with you.
Oh my God. Ew.
But it was fine. And honestly, it was for the best. And not like, we were both like teary and we were like, it sucks that it has to be this way.
Right.
And,
but you know, you never know.
Yeah, you do never know. And still have lot of love for him and whatever. And I'm sure he would say the same thing about me because
100% would.
Yeah, we, yeah. I keep wanting to say we had so much fun because I don't know. I've never had that before.
Yeah.
Like I'm really not the type of person to be really open to romance.
Yeah.
By any means. Like I've had guys that I've like given my number to and they will text me and I just be like, ew. Like I don't care.
Yeah,
like, I just really don't care.
I know.
So yeah, it was very different for me because it was the first person that I was really genuinely interested in since my previous relationship, which had ended like a little over a year ago at that point that we started talking. And so yeah, it was good because it definitely, I was so closed off to the idea. I was like, no, I want no one. Like I was only on the app just for like shits and giggles and to like make fun of people and just, you know, whatever. And then, yeah, it really opened me up to being like, okay, you are capable of one, having feelings for people because I was like, wow, I'm literally never going to fall for anyone ever again because I just simply, I'm not capable. So glad that I learned that about myself. And two, just that I can go out and like have fun and be spontaneous and stay up till 4 a.m. and hang out and whatever. And it was weird for me, obviously, because you know me, like I'm so routine. I'm very like, I like things to be my way.
Yeah.
I like to keep things like, you know, whatever. We had a fun run.
Yeah. So that's a good way to look at a situationship because I feel like a lot of people struggle with that and like that word in general and things that have to do with it that you can look at it in a positive way and like
for sure. I just think I don't know. I have clearly stated like I really don't have that much experience with situationships, and I feel like where a lot of people go wrong with situationships is just the intention. And I don't know. I don't even really know what my intentions were. And I feel like sometimes not even having one, I feel like it's who it's with. Like stop getting in situationships with people who suck and who aren't worth it and who only want you for like, if it's a purely sexual thing and you're both totally fine with that, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But like make it actually fulfilling to you.
100%.
Like, that is why I feel like that's where so many people go wrong is that it's like, oh, it's the romance, whatever. But like, it has to still be meaningful and it still has to be 100%. Fulfilling.
I mean, you're spending a lot of your energy, you know?
Yes.
It must be. It must be fulfilling.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously every situationship looks different. Like, I don't know if it's normal to be like texting all day, every day in situationships. I literally don't know. But yeah, if you're in one and you want advice, my first advice would be to get out. Be single, enjoy your time alone if you haven't done that already. And then number two, yeah, make it have them be meaningful. Don't just like, I feel like so many people are like, oh, it's just a situationship, like it doesn't matter, like they're not my boyfriend, it doesn't have to be someone that I actually really like, whatever. No, it still should.
It should, 100%.
Because it should still be something that you learn positive things from, take positive things out of it from. And obviously in any situation you can learn negative things too, things that you don't want about a situationship or a real relationship, whatever. But yeah, give it some real meaning. Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time on people because then you're wasting their time and your time when you could be doing a million other better things rather than just like talking to someone just for the sake of talking to them. Like do that with friends.
Yeah.
Like you want to hang out with people, hang out with friends.
It's
like
true.
Work on other relationships before you're just like, I don't know,
diving in emotionally, like
talking
that.
to men.
Just don't talk to men.
Yeah,
the end of
like
the
if
story.
anything, have one with a woman. Haven't been there yet.
Well, this is my next segue. Actually, is sexuality. So if you guys want to hear us talk about that, there's going to be a part 2 next week. So we'll talk to you then.
Stay tuned.
Bye.